Good morning, Phoenix class. Welcome to our maths lesson. I can solve problems involving area and perimeter. So what we need to remember today is what area is and what perimeter is. So area is the amount of space inside a shape. So effectively, how much space a shape will take up. Whereas perimeter is the distance around a shape, 2D shape, of course. So it's the length of the outside is the perimeter. So those are the two pieces of information that we need to remember for today's lesson. Let's look at our first problem. What is the same about the shapes Max and Lexi have drawn, and what is different? You can see Lexi's in red and Max's is in blue. So what shapes are they? Well, Lexi has drawn a square, whereas Max has drawn a rectangle. We can work out how big the shapes are because we can see that the dots represent 1 centimetre. So if we look at Lexi's first and we count them, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across the bottom. So that means Lexi's is 6 centimetres by 6 centimetres because it's a square. Whereas Max's, his is 1, 2, 3, 4 across the bottom, but we also need to count the side as well. So that's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So his shape is 4 and 9. So we need to use that information to find our area, our perimeter. So Lexi's square shape, we know, is a square. So that means that each side is 6 centimetres. There are 4 sides in total, so that would be 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. Or alternatively, instead of doing repeated addition, we can do 4 lots of 6, or 4 times 6 is 24 centimetres. So that's the length round the outside. The area of the square itself, remember, we can work that out by doing length times width. So the length is 6 centimetres, but the width is also 6 centimetres. So 6 times 6 is 36 centimetres squared. Now let's look at Max's shape. His shape is a rectangle. So we have 2 sides that are 4 centimetres, and we have 2 sides that are 9 centimetres. So we could do 4 plus 4 plus 9 plus 9. But again, instead of using repeated addition, we can change that because we've got 2 lots of 4 centimetres. So we can do 2 times 4. And then we've got 2 lots of 9 centimetres. So we do 2 times 9, and we add our answers together. So 8 plus 18 will give us 26 centimetres. So the perimeter of Max's shape is 26 centimetres. Find the area. Remember, to find the area, we multiply the length times the width. So I can do 4 times 9, or 9 times 4, and that will give me 36 centimetres squared. So you can see there they've got the same area, even though the perimeters are different and the shapes are different. So Max draws another rectangle on his grid. It has the same area, but a different perimeter. What could the dimensions of the shape be? So we want to find a shape that has that we can do something times something equals 36, with the somethings being the length of the sides. So 2 numbers that times together to make 36. So what we're looking for are factors of 36. So we've got to think about what our factor bug of 36 would look like. So we could have a rectangle that is 1 by 36. We could have a rectangle that is 2 by 18. Or we could have a rectangle that is 3 by 12. Let's look at the 3 by 12 one for the moment. So it could be 12 centimetres long and 3 centimetres wide. 12 times 3 equals 36 centimetres squared. So our area is still 36 centimetres squared. To work out the perimeter, we've got two sides of 12 centimetres and we've got two sides of 3 centimetres. We can do 12 times 2 plus 3 times 2, and that will give us 30 centimetres. Just have a look at how the units are written. Area is always something squared with a little 2, whereas perimeter, it's just straightforward centimetres, millimetres, metres, kilometres, whatever we're measuring in. Let's look at this one here. This is asking us to work out the area and perimeter of each shape. What are the missing numbers in the table? So I'm going to want you to draw out the table. So in A, finding the area, that's quite straightforward, isn't it now? We know that we do the length times the width, so that's 8 times 3. To find the perimeter, we've got 2 lots of 3 centimetres and we've got 2 lots of 8 centimetres. So you've got 3 times 2 and 8 times 2, and then you add them together. In B, you're going to do the same thing, but you've got to count the number of squares. So we've got 6 for the width, and we've got 4 for the length. Or the other way round, it doesn't matter. So again, in B, you're going to times those two numbers together for the area. And then for your perimeter, remember you've got 2 times 6 and 2 times 4 and add them together. C is not so easy because C is called a compound shape. So C is where two rectangles have been put together to make a bigger shape. So what we have to do is split our compound shape into two rectangles. And then as you can see that I've done on the screen, you then count the number of squares in each rectangle. So first of all, let's work out the big rectangle. That is 5 by 3. So we can work out the area by timesing those together. When we're working out the area of the little one, we're going to do 3 times 3 and then add them together. Now, working out the perimeter, that's a bit different this time. This time you have to go right the way round the outside of the shape, not the outside of the two rectangles that you've split it into. So we've got 3 at the top, we've got 5 down the side. Then along the bottom, you haven't just got 3, you've got 2 lots of 3, so that will be 6. As you go up the right-hand side, you've got a 3. You've got a 3 as you go back towards the left, and then you've got a 2. So you're going to need to add all of those together to get your final perimeter. Now, look at these shapes on here. What do you notice about the area? If we look at the yellow shape in A, B, and C, you'll see that it is the same size every time. If you look at the red shape in A, B, and C, you'll notice that it's also the same size every time. So what can you say about the area? The two shapes have been put together in different ways. So this is where you're going to need to count your squares to find out what the perimeter is. Remember to go right the way round the very outside of the shapes. Once you've had a go at that, then go into your practice book. So question 1, that's just like we've been doing. So in A, to find the area, you're going to times the 4 by the 4. And remember, it's a square, so your other sides are also going to be 4 when you're finding the perimeter. B is a straightforward rectangle. So again, you can times them together, the 6 and the 3, to get the area. But when you're finding the perimeter, you've got 2 lots of 6 and 2 lots of 3. Now, C is another compound shape, so you're going to need to split this into 2 rectangles. Find the area of each by counting the squares and timesing them, and then add the 2 together. Remember, when you're finding the perimeter of this one, you're going right the way round the outside of the shape. So question 2, draw a different shape with the same area as the shaded square. So your area is 4. So think of your other factors of 4. In part B, you've got to do a different shape with the same perimeter, but might have a different area. So your perimeter is 8. So you've got to find a different shape with a perimeter that is still 8. Remember, you've got 2 pairs of equal sides. And then finally in that one, you've got to draw a shape with the same area as the shaded square. So that's 4 again, but make sure your perimeter is greater. In 3, you are calculating the area and the perimeter of each of the shapes. Just be careful with D again, because that's your compound shape. And then number 4 is asking you what you notice about the areas and perimeters of these shapes. What's the same, what's different? So first of all, find out the perimeter and the area of each one, and then you can look at them to compare them. If you feel you need more practice, there are a couple of extra questions there. If you fancy a challenge, you've got 3 different activities there as well. And then you can do your reflection at the end and answer this question. Amy says, if 2 shapes have equal areas, their perimeters must be equal too. Explain why Amy is not correct. You might want to draw some pictures to help you explain that. Have fun today. Bye-bye.